and I am from Tallinn University, and I am your chair right now. I'm a biologist and teacher heading this. I hope that you enjoy being in our university and in Tallinn, and you are very welcome to be here in the future in our university in Tallinn and also in nature. Today we will have 3 presentations, 2 from Finland and 1 from Poland. Every presenter will have 15 minutes for presentation, and after that the audience have 5 minutes to ask questions and give comments. And our time schedule is quite tight because we finish with these last questions, and today we will not have time for discussion after the presentations because we will have lunch. So the first presenter is Tove Holm from Finland. She's a great specialist working with curricula for the applied science universities or polytechnics. So is yours.
Thank you. Yes, as Tina mentioned, my name is Tove Holm. I currently present Säästvad Environmental School of Finland, and we have adult training and projects and consultations in the entire country of Finland, and we also have international projects within the neighboring area. I'm here to present a project that's called From Sustainable Design to Sustainable Implementation, Knowledge is Supply Change for a Green Economy. And I will start by opening up the background, why we are working with this, and then present the actual project and how we plan to continue with this subject in the future. So first, the EU has set sustainable growth as a goal for 2020. Here's the actual goal, a transition to a more resource-efficient, greener and competitive economy. And this is in 5 years, so it's pretty soon that we have this aim in EU. And this will require new skills in the workplaces. And then the question is that which are these skills that are actually needed in the workplaces and in education. We have this European Center for Development of Vocational Training. They have actually studied which skills are needed for a green economy. And I think it's, here you can see the actual report from that study, but they actually found that there is a need to integrate sustainability aspects and environmental aspects in already existing education. This means that they came to the conclusion that there's not such a big need to start new sustainability programs or new sustainability educations, for example in solar energy or something like that. But there's a much bigger need to actually integrate these aspects in the already existing educations. For example, solar energy, that it's needed to be integrated in the education for electrical engineering, this part. We already have the education, but to take these skills into the already existing educations. But you can find more about that in the report. This next picture is from the last closing session of the last seminar of the UN Decade of Education for Sustainable Development that was organized in Nagoya in Japan in November. And this is the final report that was presented there. And here you can find examples of how education for sustainable development has been enhanced so far at different levels of education. And the UN thought that this decade was really successful, but they also thought that, okay, they will not continue with another decade. So instead of this, this global action program on education for sustainable development was published at this final seminar. And in this, you can find goals for different levels of education. And here is just one example that I have picked from this report, that for technical and vocational education and training, there is a need to respond for greater clarity in defining the skills and competencies needed for green jobs. So it's also identified here that we actually have to find out which are these skills, which are these competencies that are needed in our current education. So this is the background for the projects that we are working on. And now I will present, we had one project that we started it last autumn, and a project that we are working at the moment. So the first project was last year. There we looked at vocational education and training, how it may serve as a promoter of green and low carbon economy. So we started by interviewing companies and asked them which are the skills that are needed for a green economy. And then we looked through education, vocational education, and looked through that how are these competencies included in different educational programs, and what adult training do we already have in these skills. And we looked at education in Finland, but we also included examples from Sweden and Germany, because we thought that maybe they have found some new ways to work with these things in the other countries that we could take example of and import to Finland. And then we presented the actual survey and had a workshop where we discussed this. And there we found out, when we looked at all these educations, that there is actually a need to review education at Finnish Universities of Applied Sciences, which is higher education. And there is also a need to find out what skills are needed for different fields, and this should be done based on working life. So I'll just open up here a little about how the school system looks like in Finland. We have primary education, and then this is the education that you take after that when you're about 16 to 18 years old. And after you have taken matriculation examination or vocational qualifications, you can go to further education. And this is the part that we looked at last autumn. And then we have this dual system for higher education. We have universities, and we also have universities of applied sciences, also called polytechnics. So this is the part that we're looking at this moment in this project that I present here. And the heading or the subject for this project is from sustainable design to sustainable implementation, knowledge supply chain for green economy. And what we have actually done, we have conducted a survey. We have sent it to all universities of applied sciences in Finland and asked about these different skills that are needed, that they think that should be included in education, and what is already included in education. And we have also looked at the curricula that they present at the websites. And we will choose some that we will examine closer. We will do this in May, and interview some that we want to know more about, that seems to have some future ideas of how to develop education in Finland. And we organized 2 workshops in Helsinki in May, and where we will develop this knowledge supply chain for green economy. on selected themes. And these themes are energy efficient building and bioeconomy and renewable energy. So those are the two different themes that we will organize seminars on. And if you're interested to join, please just contact me and I'll send you the invitation and the program to these workshops. And these workshops will be done, we will have their presenters from different stakeholders in the field and also from education. And there we will discuss further of which are the skill needs and which are the competencies that are needed to be included in education. And this is what we're working with. These things we looked at last autumn. We looked at vocational education and other continuing education providers. And now in the spring we have looked at universities of applied sciences or polytechnics, what they have included in their curricula. And what we actually do, we review the conducted education and we try to get an answer to the question, how well does current education correspond to know-how needs of the various actors in the chain? And what and how should education and know-how be developed? So these are actually the questions. How is it included? How should it be developed? That's what we're trying to answer. And at these workshops that we'll arrange, we have examples from both education and companies and trade associations. They will tell their view of which are the skill needs needed, and then we will in the afternoon discuss around this. So we did the same thing in the autumn. We had this workshop, and then we sat in groups, and then we discussed from designing, production, sales, maintenance, after-sales services. Year under, we just put more rows and think about which are the skill needs, which are the competencies that should be included in education. By discussing, finding out what does it look like today and how should education be developed to answer to the needs. Okay, so just shortly still about the future, what we're actually looking at and how we have planned to continue with this work. The questions that we are studying, as I probably said this before, but how well does current education respond to the skills identified? Which are the main development needs for education and training? Which are the bottlenecks? And this is, of course, the new ideas. If we find these, we can find new educational and adult training that's needed for the field. And we'll have already preliminary results. And we have noticed that also education in universities should be studied. We have had some who have already answered to our surveys, but they have also contacted me and said that they would like to also include this study to universities. I'm so good that people are just, So this is the program that we plan to apply from. The Interreg Central Baltic, Priority 4, Skilled and Socially Inclusive Region. There is this one specific objective, 4.2, more aligned vocational education and training programs in the Central Baltic region. And the indicator that would show the results are share of aligned programs in the region. And the goals are development of skills, better matching of skills to work opportunities that leads to decreasing social exclusion. And this should all be done based on the needs of enterprises. So you should, of course, again, interview the enterprises and ask them what skills are needed. So this is the planned heading for this application. skill needs for green growth, for vocational education and training, and higher education based on needs of enterprises. And this is the geographical area for these applications. For this, yes, the next application will open in August. So if you're interested to join this, I hope that you will contact me within May, because I plan to have some kind of work seminar on this in June, so that we will be ready in August to actually apply. You can get my card afterwards if you're interested, so if you don't have time to write down my email. But it's tove.holm@cyklic.fi. Thank you.
So now it's possible to ask questions from Tove.
Yes, thank you for a very nice presentation, useful actually. And the question is, okay, you already have some kind of investigations, and what was the critical area of activity within the green economy, and what kind of specialists were needed to solve these problems just with this critical area?
Yes. Well, the critical area or the focus area that we have is energy efficient building, and bioeconomy and renewable energy. These are the three things that we have focused on. And also when we had this workshop, all agreed that there is a more need to work through the entire chain. That you don't only work with sustainability aspects in the production or in the maintenance or in the planning or in the sales, but all have to be involved. So that you should understand what others, people that work in your own chain of knowledge, how they are working with sustainability issues. That has so far, I would say, raised the most from the study.
Next question, quick question. There was one. Do you have any questions? Some comments?
Do you expect there to be any geographical differences in these skills when you widen it to Sweden and Estonia, for example?
Well, we have looked into. They have done a survey also in Europe, and there they looked at least at Belgium and Luxembourg and I don't now remember. Yes, it was Portugal, and it was about the same things. I think that wind power was included in one of the countries, and that was not included in Finland. But the other things, I think they also had energy efficient building that came up, and maybe bioeconomy is something that's special for Finland. We have a lot of forest, so that's very important for us. But it was, when I looked in the autumn, we had presented also the results from the European and study, and there I noticed that it was about the same things. But of course, there were probably some regional differences.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So next presenter is Linda, gentleman from Finland. So please, go.
Hi everyone, I'm from Poland, from Wroclaw, the warmest city in Poland, where we have 22 degrees now, so I'm used. I'm working at Wroclaw University of Environmental and Life Sciences. I do PhD in environmental impact assessments, but also I used to work for, and I'm still working, for some NGOs and teach sustainability. But today I would like to show you some experience I provided to my students in cooperation with Marta Szperakiewicz and our supervisor Szymon Szobrański. And it was a part of environmental management course. I didn't mean to be a teacher, a formal teacher, but this is a part of my job at university. And when I see the schedule of this course, it was 15 lessons, 45 minutes lasting, and 12 was for EMAS project and 3 for LCA theory. LCA, as you know, is life cycle assessment. I am a life cycle assessment practitioner, and to learn about it took me 9 full weeks. So when I saw that I have only 3 lessons for LCA, I said it's impossible to learn students how to do this. So I decided to ask my supervisor if I can to smuggle something different through LCA tool, and this what I want to smuggle is sustainability for daily life. I wanted to put LCA glasses for students and they could see their product which they use every day in different light. So my presentation is example, the answer on the question how sustainable practices can be implemented at curriculum despite institutional barriers and time limits, and directly influence students' personal attitude towards sustainability. It is suited to role of higher education, transfer knowledge, and build attitude, right attitude. Is one thing appropriate in this question? And in Poland, I have noticed that asking students about personal attitude, personal question, this is inappropriate. So I faced this challenge. I asked them about this. I asked them about this. Okay, so this is the 6 majors for which I provided this course. And you can see this profession are strongly connected with environment. Actually, these students in the future will have significant influence on environment by taking important decisions, by designing some important projects for environment. And I expected from them a high level of awareness. But as it was said during this whole conference, sustainable education isn't the same as environmental education. I asked students about their awareness, how they can affect on the environment, how they can protect the environment, how they can live sustainable everyday life. They give me a lot of answers. Oh, sorry, this was a nice picture. Okay. They give me a lot of answers like saving power, saving waters, using in public transport, buying local food, eating more vegetables, and also gardening. Of course, these answers are correct. There are sustainable behaviors, but one was missing for me, and actually it was good because I wanted to show them that one point is missing. I asked them, what about not buying things? They said, how to not buy things? We need things, we need something. I said, do you really need all things you have? I wanted to force them to think before they buy something. So I planned my LCA part of this course in different way, and I will introduce you what we did on this course. First lesson is at the beginning of the semester. What's in my bag? I'm asking my students to take everything out of their handbags and put on the table. Of course, the first reaction is what? Okay, so I'm saying if I have to something inappropriate, you can hide it, but everything has to be on the table. And this is a typical handbag of student girl, really. I have a lot of samples like this on these lessons. A lot of cosmetics, a lot of food, small food, a lot of drinks, a lot of gadgets, really. Sometimes they even don't have, pen to write in the store, but they have a lot on their things. I'm choosing a product, one product for every student. I'm not saying why I'm choosing. And this is the role of teacher. I have to choose something really unnecessary. Usually it's a cosmetic, or chewing gum, or gadget, and or some small packages or something. And I'm saying that it will be your product. Later, I have some time to introduce them life cycle assessment. What it is, the main issue, or what about is this tool, and then I explain how to build LCA model. Very simple model, and this is their task to build LCA model for their product. They have to get information about ingredients, how they are made, and where they come from. Second lesson is in the middle of semester. They already forget about this product that I choose for them. So I have to write down or every time the list of students and products, and to remind them. And because I have 45 minutes, I use educational materials, and my favorite one is the series The Story of Stuff. If you don't know this series, let's get to know more about this. Every movies are available on the internet, on YouTube, and with a lot of languages, with subtitles in a lot of languages. And these videos are short. They use a lot of animation, pictures, so they are very illustrative. And the students pay a lot of attention to watch this. And this is a little bit shock therapy for them, because they see, in this movie, they see some issues nobody told them during the whole studies, even if they study environmental sciences. Especially I recommend for girls the story of cosmetics. It's also very good issue. I think you probably know the whole marketing connected with cosmetics, and the whole this issue that we have a lot of poison in our cosmetics. Second film lasts 1 hour, and this is a Polish production, but it's available on the internet and YouTube, also with English subtitles. And I ask students to watch this at home. The title is Brand New World, and this movie relates to Huxley's New Brave World. You probably know this book. And this movie shows, like, nowadays, human who wants to live outside the whole new world, outside this technology, not buying things, is treated by society as a savage. So I really recommend you to watch this. And of course, often is said the word consumerism. And students didn't know that there is something like theory of consumerism. That someone designed some tools to force people to buy things. So this also was something new for them, which is actually sad, because there are adult people and they buy things. They decide what they are buying, but suddenly they realize that they are forced to buy things. Last part of this course is last lesson, is the final lesson. We have had the presentation of their products. Of course, these models are very well built. They have learned a lot about integrants, how they are made, and they can explain how much these products affect environment. I asked only one question during this presentation. Do you really need this product for quality of your life? Do you really need this? Usually the answer is no, I don't need it. We have public discussion about this whole issue with not buying things, and also I asked them some questions about their feelings about this essay part. Because I have only 2 minutes, I will go on to results. Results from survey. 8 students from 10 said that they had to put a lot of effort to find information, even if this product is really common. It was really hard to find some information, and they said that it shouldn't be like that. 9 of 10 said that there is totally new point of view for them, even if they thought that they live environmentally friendly. They never thought about this in this way. 75% state that they would like to incorporate this LCA view into daily life. They want to change this whole buying thing. And a lot of them like the form of this part because it was short, it was very illustrative, and they had to put some effort without any control. I mean, they really wanted to get information about something they use every day. And last conclusion. During discussion, teacher also asked me a question. How do you live your life in a sustainable way? So if I didn't have if I wouldn't have answer, if I wouldn't live my life sustainably in a sustainable way, they probably will not believe me. So, because my parents, I have learned sustainability at home because of my parents, and because I could say a lot of examples from my everyday life. They believe in that what I wanted to say to them. So, teacher should be a mentor in sustainable education, and this is also essential part of this course. And thank you for your attention.
Students and mentor. Do you have questions?
I was wondering what tool do you use to make the life cycle assessment? Like, is it that you have a program you use, or they just gather information and do it like a...
I can, as a practitioner of LCA, I can use the SIMA program. It's very popular in Europe, and also I have learned to use Excel to build LCA whole thing. In USA, database are available on the internet about LCA information, and if you can construct this model in Excel, you can easily do it in this tool, but it takes more time than in SIMA. SIMA is, you have to pay for a SIMA license.
But is that something that the students can also access when they're doing their exercise?
No, during our this course, not at our university. We have a lot of courses, but we do a lot of things briefly. And my task was only to introduce them as in theory. I always recommend them, if they want to really do LCA, to find a course at Coursera. And of course in Poland we have a lot of courses, but you have to pay a lot of money. So at first I recommend to get more from Coursera.
Thank you. Other questions?
Maybe just suggestion that we make this survey after a year and see if they still have changed their consumption behavior. Because we did similar study with cosmetics, and we asked them, do you know what's inside in these different cosmetics, and then asked after a year, and unfortunately these changes decreased very much. Just after course, 2 months after course, they have changed something, but when we asked 1 year after, then the results were not so good. They were not so
Actually,
stable.
we thought about this, but what we wanted to change at our university, this course is on the last year of study.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a big mistake. Students should have learned about this in the first year, and we should repeat this in the last year. So yeah, we tried to change to take this course from last year to first. But of course, a lot of at our universities in Poland, there is also still a lot of politics. So it's really hard to change curriculum.
Other questions? Other questions? Comments?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Now we ask you to put your ideas and questions on the papers around this building for the plenary session. Organizers ask you to put down these ideas.